was the change? Why are they, not allowing us in?
It had to do, they hired a new financial person. And what he did is he looked at where there were lacking billing, and he noticed all these rooms being used and no one getting paid for them. But they didn't have any long-standing written agreements or what have you, which is kind of interesting because right now, I just received notice from the guy that's going to be developing the YMCA near me.
Yeah.
And there was, when they built the school, there's a lot of agreements between the schools and the YMCA for shared pools and extra. So I don't know how those are going to exist or what's going to happen. So anyway, we have a Zoom meeting with him.
It's not bad.
You feel lonely.
That's what I'm feeling, it's like,
I'm sorry, what? Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it. Just wait around a few more minutes. Yeah. You reminded me.
Okay, console Zoom. And one there. Okay, console Zoom.
Hello, Janelle.
I thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello. Where's my drink?
Hi, commissioners. Wade, if you can hear us.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Can you turn on the audio? Ask to unmute.
Hi, I can hear you.
Perfect, thank you.
Hi, I can hear you.
How are you? Thank you so much. Well, yeah. Oh, how are you? Thing? Commissioner Rohrabacher, can you say something so we can be sure you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to both of you.
the water tower will be a closed session of the.
We started the meeting. Oh, it's gonna be closed session.
Which one are we
Just keep an
opening
eye
that
out
one?
for closed session before.
Oh.
I'm surprised you didn't mention.
Yeah, I
Don't
didn't
donate
even-
last night.
Keep that one
She
open.
didn't, she didn't, and don't donate. They don't want to send her off. Send it.
So that one's better. When someone mentions it, there's
Believe it or not.
You guys saw it.
Commissioner Greensides.
Bill, once you take over ownership of the land, there's really nothing, there's really nothing to do. There's nothing public works has to do, once the city takes over the land.
One more time.
Is there anything you have to do once they take over the land and the water tower?
Yeah, it becomes ours, and then my plan is to fence it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And actually, right now, we enter that site from Ponciano Street. So we're going to change that and make it from Santiago from the other side. So, and then we're going to have a fencing, block wall.
It's,
So we will open nomination, vote on the nomination, we will open nomination, vote on closing the nomination, and then vote on the nomination itself. There will be 2 votes.
Yes.
We're waiting on Commissioner Greensides. Okay. Green.
that number is good.
Isn't it good? You gotta take some and then, have some in the morning. Chair, Jermaine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a quorum. Anytime you want to start, unless you want to wait for Commissioner Greensides, so it's up to you.
I think we'll go ahead and begin and probably walk through the doors of the unit and see all of us. I believe we should go ahead and get it started.
Okay, everyone, you can go ahead. Start recording. Start recording.
Welcome to July 12, 2022 ETAC meeting. Recording secretary, please confirm you have started the meeting.
The meeting has started.
My name is Brian Jermaine, and I am the chair of the Environmental and Transportation Advisory Commission. I would like to call the ETAC meeting of July 12 to order at 4:03 p.m. We have 6 items on the agenda, including the consent calendar. Recording secretary, please call roll.
Carl Manager,
Here.
Brian Jermaine,
Here.
Janelle McLaughlin,
Here.
Here.
Brian Jermaine,
Here.
Dorian Romero has Janelle McLaughlin,
Here.
and Tanya Navarro is not, and Nathaniel Greensides is not present. If he does show up later, then we'll need to mark him as present, but at this time he's not. Dwayne Rohrabacher,
Here.
you have a quorum?
Would Commissioner Benninger please lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Everybody, please rise, hand over your heart, face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recording Secretary, please describe the way the public can access this virtual meeting.
This meeting is being live streamed on the City of Santa Ana portal at www.santa-ana.primegov.com/public/portal. If anyone would like to provide a public comment, they may do so in person or on the City of Santa Ana portal, same address. The opportunity to speak is going to follow the next comment. If you wish to speak, please select the Zoom hand icon to let us know if you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the name you entered. If any members of the public are present at this in-person meeting, please be sure you have completed a speaker card and then hand it to me, the recording secretary. You will have 3 minutes to speak. We will alert you when your time is up.
Moving on to public comments on agenda items or non-agenda items. Recording Secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
We have no members of the public online or present that wish to speak.
Moving on to consent calendar item.
Excuse me, Brian, this is Janelle McLaughlin. I have an echo. Excuse me, Brian, this is Janelle McLaughlin. I have an echo. Excuse me, Brian, this is Janelle McLaughlin.
I believe, Janelle, you may want to mute your microphone on one of your two, or she only has one item this time.
She would have to unmute when she talks. Or we have to unmute.
Janelle, do you have 2 items that are 2 speakers that are playing for you right now?
No, sir, I do not. I just have one laptop. I've turned off my phone.
2 speakers that are playing for you right now?
No, sir, I do not. I just have one laptop. I've turned off my phone.
Lori, are we playing on the computer there, the iPad?
Do you have your speaker?
Is that speaker on?
I don't have a speaker on this.
I have no idea where the description
Keep waiting to
is.
see how he sounds.
How do I sound?
Sounds
Do you
good.
have an echo?
I do not have an echo.
Okay. It's just system. I think it might be your system, Janelle. Shall we proceed?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll try to go in through my phone.
Thank you. Let's see, moving on to public comments on agenda items or non-agenda items. Recording Secretary, once again, do anyone wish to speak?
No, there are no members of the public that wish to speak. The Commissioner is here now, and so we will need to count him as present. So I'm going to go ahead and count him as present.
Yes, I acknowledge precise presence.
Can you say here?
Commissioner Greenside's presence is part of my tardiness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to consent calendar items 1, 2, and 3. Recording secretary, do we have any commissioners' absence to be reflected as an excused absence?
Dorian Romero asked for an excused absence.
Thank you. Is there a motion and a second to approve consent calendar items 1, 2, and 3?
I move that we accept 1, 2, and 3.
May I ask commissioners to announce their names?
Carl Denninger.
Thank you.
Is there a second? This is Commissioner Walker, I second.
The motion carries.
Moving on to business calendar item number 4, ETAC chair and vice chair election.
Good evening, commissioners. Per the bylaws, we must now accept nominations for the position of chair. The new chair position will become effective at the next ETAC meeting and will serve through June 2023, at which time another election will take place in July 2023. All nominations are to be made from the floor. Nominations will need a motion. Nominations for the office of ETAC chair are now in order. Lori will take names. Lori needs names of commissioners making the motion. Is there a motion to close? No. So nominations open, and I welcome any nomination that you may have for the chair.
This is Commissioner Manager. I'd like to nominate Brian for chair. Commissioner Jermaine, I should say.
Any more nominations?
This is Commissioner Greenside's nominate Commissioner Jermaine as well for chair.
Any more nominations?
So you're seconding the
Commissioner
motion.
Greenside's nominate Commissioner Jermaine as well for chair. Yes, correct. I second the motion for the first. Sorry, I wrote my way.
Any more nominations? Any from those that are on Zoom? With that, I would like to entertain a motion to close the nomination.
This is Commissioner Jermaine. I'd like to make a motion to close nomination, or second.
Madam Secretary, could you take a vote on closing of the nomination? Oh, yeah.
This will be a vote for closing the nominations. Chair Jermaine,
Aye.
Vice Chair Manager,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenside,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohrabacher,
Aye.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you. Nominations now closed. I would like to take a vote on the nomination for chair for Commissioner Brian Jermaine as a chair. Do I have a motion?
This is Commissioner Manager. I make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Commissioner.
Go ahead.
Madam Secretary, could you please take a vote?
Commissioner. Go ahead.
Madam Secretary, could you please?
Commissioner Manager has made a motion to elect Commissioner Jermaine as Chair of ETAC to serve from the next ETAC meeting through June 30th, 2023, when another election will take place in July of 2023. Commissioner Greenside has seconded the motion. The motion carries. I'm sorry, it has not carried. We're going to take a vote. Chair Jermaine,
Aye.
Vice Chair Manager,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenside,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin, Vice Chair Manager,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenside,
Yes.
Vice Chair Manager, Commissioner Rohrabacher,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker. Aye. The motion now carries.
Congratulations. Now we're going to do this one more time for the vice chair. I would like to open nomination for the vice chair. Do I have a nomination?
This is Commissioner Jermaine. I'd like to make a nomination for Commissioner Carl Benninger as vice chair.
Do I have a second or another nomination?
Commissioner Walker? Commissioner Walker, I'll second the nomination.
Any more nominations? With that, I'd like to vote on closing the nomination for vice chair. Madam Secretary, could you please take a vote?
Chair Jermaine, this is for closing, this motion is for closing the nomination period. Chair Jermaine,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benninger,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenside,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohrabacher,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker.
Aye.
Thank you for that. Now I have a motion to nominate or elect Carl Benninger as a vice chair. Do I have a motion?
Commissioner Green says I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner McLaughlin makes the motion.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? So we have a motion and a second. I'd like to take a vote. Madam Secretary, could you please take a vote?
This is for Carl Benninger to serve as ETAC Vice Chair commencing June 30th through June 30th, 2023, when another election for Vice Chair will take place in July 2023. Chair Jermaine,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benninger,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenside,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohrabacher,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
and the motion carries.
Congratulations and thank you. Looking forward for working with you both as the chair and the vice chair of ETAC. Chair, you can proceed.
Moving on to the next item. Kenny Nguyen, Senior Civil Engineer, will present item 5, fiscal year 2022 through 2023 capital improvement plan. This item is informational.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioner. My name is Ken Nguyen from the Public Works Agency. For today's afternoon, I would like to present the Capital Improvement Program, or the CIP, for fiscal year 22-23. As you can see right here, these are the, well, in general, the CIP is a fiscal document that kind of go looking into like all the capital expenditure for a given fiscal year. This one is for fiscal year 22-23. This CIP is following the budget process. So they first present to the Planning Commission for the general plan consistency, and then they follow the budget adopted by the City Council on June 21st. So now they become the budget for the CIP budget for 22-23. So on that front page right here, you can see some of the highlight projects that we just completed this past fiscal year, 21-22. On the top left is the Civic Center White Boulevard. And the middle one is the main library children patio. The right-hand side, that's the flower bike lane from Warner to Civic Center. On the bottom left is the El Salvador basketball court, and then the bottom right there is the storm drain improvement along the island. Next slide, please. So these are like summary of the funding source for the CIP for fiscal year 22-23. With the local funding, the gas tax, especially the SB1 roadway maintenance. That's the additional gas tax approved by the state in 2017. This is mainly allocate for street improvement. The general fund is from the city council approved for that. The drainage and the transportation fee, fee collecting from new development to kind of assist with like drainage and transportation improvement from the city. The next three, sewer and water fee are like through the utility bill service, and they are allocated for the water and sewer improvement for the city facility. The next category is the grant fund. The first one is the American Rescue and Recovery Act, ARPA. It's basically from the federal that assisting the city to recover from the COVID quicker, and also kind of help revive some of the public service for community. The next one, Active Transportation Fund, ATP, is a grant fund that focuses on improve safety and mobility for for pedestrians and bicyclists. For Measure M, they typically grant funding for traffic, roadway, and facility improvement and maintenance. CDBG is the annual grant that assists the city to improve the viable urban community, and they typically allocate for roadway, facility like park, improvement for the city. Next slide, please. So this one is in the CIP book that is available also on the city website. This page right here is like a summary of the funding source and the upcoming project for in the upcoming fiscal year 22-23 funding. Next slide, please. So for this upcoming fiscal year, 22-23, our capital improvement program is about almost $45 million. We're about 42% of that is toward the street improvement. About 35% for municipal facility improvement. That includes park, zoo, buildings, city building. The other almost 20% is for traffic and utility drainage improvement for the city. Next slide, please. For street improvement is about $21 million, and they some of the highlight here is the nine arterial improvement along First Street, McFadden, Grand Avenue, and Stanger. That is like mostly coming from SB1 funding that I mentioned earlier. And we also have two local street improvement through the local residential street, Asphalt Street, is through Measure M, and the local Concrete Street is through the CDBG funding. And we also continue to receive the solid waste contribution that address the non-residential street improvement repair. We also have the funding to improve the sidewalk also. So in total, we for fiscal year 22-23, we plan to repave about 19 miles of street and over 200 square feet of sidewalk. And also on top of that, we also plan to improve 8 alley in the citywide. Next slide, please. So for traffic improvement with a $2.2 million summer highlight project, the 2 bike lane project along I think Gray Street and Santa Clara. That's total about 8 miles of additional bike lane for the city. And we also plan to improve traffic signal at Euclid and other citywide locations. Next slide, please. For public utility drainage, we have about $6.5 million, and some of the highlight projects are like over 4,000 linear feet of sewer improvement citywide, and also over 10,000 linear feet of water improvement. And also, we also start the planning process for at two lift station at Maxine and McFadden. And we also plan to improve the sewer system in the northeast corner in the new annex area nearby Tustin, and also the water improvement in Willow neighborhood. Next slide, please. For the city and park, we have about 15.6 million, and some of the highlight projects include the New Hope Library, and the another one is at Santa Anita Park. We are proposing a new basketball court, new playground equipment, also expanding the parking lot area, and the landscape and the new lighting in that area. On top of that, we also plan to improve the Corbin family and the Salgado Center too. So, next slide, please. So in total, with this upcoming fiscal year of $45 million, we will have a total of $169 million of CIP, which is less than around 46% for facility improvement, and almost 40% for street improvement, and the other 15% for utility and drainage. Next slide, please. That's conclude my presentation. And if you have any further questions, please.
This is Commissioner Benninger. I don't see Bristol Street lighting on here. Is that a separate beast all by itself?
So this new funding source, we are currently have several street widening projects where they are all allocated from the past fiscal year as part of that $169 million. Those things are like for the Bristol and the Warner widening, they already identified in the past fiscal year, but for this upcoming fiscal year, we don't have any funding source allocated for street widening.
I see, so basically those funds are already on the side waiting for that to happen, or?
Yes.
And is this true about the lift station that's on Dyer Road and Bristol also?
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner Benninger, as Kenny indicated, we have $44 million of CIP project for this year that it's got approved through the budget process. In addition to that, we have other projects that have been approved previously. And that's why you see 169 here. It's 44 million plus what we have already on the books that we are working on. And the projects for widening of Bristol, the two phases, and Warner widening the San Lorenzo lift station, they're all are already in the queue and they've been funded. But however, the lift station has been funded. The widening of the two phases of Bristol widening, they are being funded as we speak. We're looking for additional funds. I'm not sure if you've followed the budget process with the city. I think we are looking for additional funds coming from possibly the general fund to supplement the funding for one of the phases of Bristol coming in. So some of the money is already in there, but we are waiting on the sale of some of the properties along the Bristol corridor so we can get those projects going. The first phase of the widening on Bristol will include the undergrounding in Edison, and that is a process that we have to go through first. So the widening itself will come after we have undergrounded the utilities, or the basically the communication and the Edison lines.
Good, Commissioner Benninger. Also, I have noticed recently in the past we'd have signs up saying funded by SB1 funds or M2 funds. Do we still identify projects for the drivers behind to see that?
Yes, so in the CIP book, and also part of the requirement of the California Commission, we have to submit a list that we're using SB1 funding to be presented to City Council and then include in our CIP book.
But, I'm sorry, this could be Commission Manager, but what they're referring to is there used to be signs that give the project on the street that people could read from the streets that this is being funded by M2 SB1 funds.
Yeah, so those signs are the requirements. So if we're using SB1, we have to display a sign with that's kind of like a logo on it, say SB1 on it. Same thing with Measure M, we have a separate logo on it.
Commissioner Greenside's here. Thank you for the presentation. Does any of part of the upcoming for this fiscal year 22, we're already in fiscal year 22-23, does any part of it include any aspects or funds going towards maintenance of the streetcar?
No, the streetcar is already allocated from the past, but they also funded through OCTA, and and our service that provide inspection and coordination, we get reimbursed from OCTA, so that's not identified in the CFP.
Thank you. Does any part of the plan include revised parking? Does it take into consideration the upcoming revisions to the parking permit program, or take into consideration any increases for parking in the city?
For parking, I am not familiar with that, because, like, let's say for any street, bike lane project, we tend to try to keep the same amount of parking. So, but for other parking coordination, do you know anything about that?
If I can answer that, Commissioner Greenside, in every project that we do that touches on the streets, we make sure that no parking, street parking is lost. So we preserve the parking in the streets, but none of these projects actually increase parking. So we try to maintain what we have, but there's no particular project with building a parking structure or something of that nature, or reconfiguring a street to add more parking. If we have that opportunity, we do. But in all of our projects, we make sure that we preserve the number of parking spots in every street that we touch.
Glad to hear it. Thank you for that. And on a different note, this is almost seemingly in opposition to my last question, but is there any plans to reduce the amount of automobile lanes, specifically lanes dedicated for traffic, in favor of increasing bike or bus lanes or even within our city, carpool lanes during certain hours?
Yes, actually, there was one project, they already allocated from the past fiscal year, 21-22. One of them is the crowded bike lane. It's actually, right now, we reduced into only one lane travel lane, and we convert that into a dedicated bike lane along, like 4 miles long from Harbor all the way to Grand Avenue. Another one is also nearby Chestnut area, nearby Grand Avenue. We actually also convert one travel lane into a bike lane too. So we have analyzed, and in order to do that, we need to coordinate with perform traffic analysis for the impact, and then coordinate with OCTA to downgrade or certain facility to accommodate that additional bike lane.
Awesome. And I know that the housing element draft just came out, and the master plan for the parks also has been finalized at this point, and both of those aim to increase the number of housing units in Santa Ana over the next 10 years at least, and park space as well over the next 10 years. And so given those two things, does this plan for this fiscal year that we're now in take into consideration those two aspects?
Yeah, so there are some additional new park, like Ray and Moto is one of them. The other one is on Stanley McFadden, that's another park coming up. They have it those funding have been allocated, like the design funding have been allocated. We also had secured the construction funding, but we won't be able to recognize that until we finalize the design and go to present to the California Commissioner in February of 2023 to get the, to request for the authorized to move forward to using the construction funding. So around 2023, we should be able to move forward those projects.
Awesome, I think that's it.
Commissioner Greenside, I'd like to add to the list that we just recently have purchased a few lots on 10th and Flower for a new park that just happened, I believe, at this last council meeting. So we're looking forward for developing that park. It's a small one, but it's something that we've been, and the community have been wanting to have. And I'm glad that you mentioned the Parks Master Plan. We are actively looking at every vacant property in the city to see if we have the funding and the location that is attractive to become a park. So we're looking, I would say, high and low for open land to purchase and convert to parks. So yeah, Park Master Plan and open space increasing open space is one of our targets, and we'll continue to work on it with the city manager's office and the city council. So that is one of our top priorities.
Hi, this is Commissioner Walker. Would this plan include the quality rating for streets and sidewalk pavements? So we know that, like in other capital improvement plans like this, I've seen them give us a grade in different municipalities.
So are you referring to the condition of the street?
The condition of the street.
Yeah, so basically the process how it works is, one, we finish a complete repaving the street, we update our database to reflect that new scoring. So depending on the type of treatment, then it will go to certain type of condition. Usually if we repave brand new, then we usually go back to 100. For sidewalk, currently we don't, or actually the standard practice, we don't usually have that scoring for sidewalk, but we have a kind of in general inventory that we usually go back and double check to see if there's anything that need to be redone or like repaired, then we usually incorporate as part of the CFP project.
I was just wondering if maybe in the future the plans could kind of show overall what grading is on some major projects, because we see the dollar amounts, but we don't see what the quality was before.
Okay. We could definitely provide some of those aspects. This part of the process is Nabil is having staff to maybe make that available to just the public, general like street condition and stuff, so that the city could see. To let you know that right now the overall condition of the street is in fair to good condition of 75 and above.
Okay.
So that is one of the, in the past, I think the last ETAC meeting that I presented the payment management, we kind of provide an overall look of what we currently have.
Commissioner Walker, are you asking about a before and after condition? Is that what we'd like to see?
Oh, not before and after, just general, the 75 and above. I kind of want to know where we rate it
Sure.
as a city.
I have Jason Gabriel.
Yes, thank you. And we can always show the before condition of any road, but also remind that we take a holistic look at which streets we select. So we might actually escalate a street if there's, say, a water and sewer improvement, so that we can package it all together and actually save money in that overall project. So we might actually do work on a better street if we can accommodate all of those. So keep that in mind that it's not always the perfect condition for the treatment that we're using. We might escalate the projects to do other work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Benninger, so I still been along this line, not exactly CMP, but in my neighborhood, there's a lot of work being done to repair water lines because of connections to the main line in had trouble. And also a lot of cables being put down, so we get a little, roughly 1 foot by 2 foot squares for the full cable. What's that do for street light? Does that shorten street light when you're cutting 4x4s to replace water connections and 1x2s for wire connections?
So in general, any time that you cut into a street pavement, that reduces the lifespan of the street. But we have our standard plan that require any developer or utility company that coming in to repave and fix the cut and also to a certain standard to minimize that reduction in lifespan. So if we don't do it correctly, that location might fail and it's going to deteriorate the street faster. But we usually have our inspector that go down there and make sure that they perform the street cut and drainage and stuff into certain conditions so that we kind of minimize that failure in the near future. So it's still reduced, but it's not reduced to the point that's, if we don't take care to a certain standard.
It definitely does, but now we have adopted a standard, we call it moratorium. So anytime the utility cuts into our newly paved street, we dictate that we go above and beyond what the trench used to be to preserve the drivability of the street, but also to make sure that the patch or the new patch will last as long as the street does. Any questions from the Zoom world? Seeing none, we can go to the next topic.
Moving on to item number 6, drought water conservation and citywide street tree inventory and watering plan. This item is informational.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Robert Hernandez. I'm the Water Quality Supervisor with the City of Santa Ana. One of the programs within the Water Quality Division is the Water Conservation Program. So we're doing a presentation giving you an update on the drought in California and how the City of Santa Ana has responded.
Just one second.
So this is the update. Go to the next slide. Do a little background first. This image right here shows Enterprise Bridge, which is over a section of Lake Oroville. Lake Oroville is one of the largest and main reservoirs in the State Water Project, and as you can see, past few months it's dropped to 37% of its capacity. So Lake Oroville, located in Northern California, part of the State Water Project. A little background also, back in October 2021, Governor Newsom did an emergency drought proclamation, expanded the drought emergency statewide, called on all Californians to voluntarily reduce water use by 15% from 2020 levels or 2020's water usage. While the state did not meet this did not meet the goal. So March 28th, Governor issued an executive order urging water agencies to take more aggressive actions and increase enforcement to prevent wasteful water use. May 24th of this year, in response, the State Water Resource Control Board adopted an emergency water conservation regulation requiring all urban water users, suppliers, to implement response actions identified in the water shortage contingency plans for a level 2 water shortage by June 10th. Part of the state's new regulation urban water suppliers like us, City of Santa Ana, are required to ban irrigation of non-functional turf at commercial, industrial, and institutional sites, unless it's necessary to ensure the health of trees. So the definition the state gives of turf is mowable grass, so grass that you have to actually mow and maintain. Non-functional turf would be that this turf serves no purpose, basically. It's there just to look pretty. Functional turf will be, it's designed for a purpose, such as sports activities, picnics, such as in parks and in schools. The state mandates and restrictions continue to evolve along with climate change, and we, the City of Santa Ana, are committed to staying apprised of future developments. Santa Ana holds an advantageous position over many urban water suppliers. Local water supply projects, regional water storage programs, and we currently have an existing low per capita water usage, basically gallons per person per day. So right now the City of Santa Ana is at 66 gallons per person per day average, whereas the region as a whole all around us, it's about 109 gallons per person per day. So our community's really stepped up since the last drought and continues to do so. Our Water Resource Division has intensified its community outreach since last fall to actively engage Santa Ana residents and businesses to continue saving water. We've launched a new social media campaign. We've done call to action, brochures, articles, done a number of water conservation exhibits at special events and community events. Since January to date, we've done over 50 special outreach events where we set up our water booth display and try and teach the public, giving tips on water conservation and also water quality. So, and also just trying to educate the city, our community on our water sources and our whole water system as a whole. One of the other things is we offer free online landscaping classes to promote California native plants. Right now it's online, but in the very near future we'll be offering it in person at multiple city facilities. We also held a conservation-themed youth poster contest and activity book that's available to all school-age youth in Santa Ana. We in the City of Santa Ana have also partnered with our neighboring cities, Anaheim and Fullerton, to develop a cohesive message about the drought. We established a campaign logo, and we're exploring additional joint water saving initiatives. The purpose of this is we want to have a cohesive message with all of our surrounding cities. You don't want to go through one city, just a normal passerby move through one city and see all the median, all the grass dead, and then go to the next and it's flourishing green. So we all want to work together to have the same message no matter where you are in Orange County. State mandates and restrictions continue to evolve along with climate change, but we're committed to staying apprised of all future developments. So to comply with the state water regulation or State Water Resources Control Board regulation and protect our future water supplies, we asked City Council to approve a resolution implementing demand reduction actions for a level 2 water shortage. That came into effect June 10th, and it's expected to stay at a level 2 for about a year. Some of the highlight requirements that are in effect is all Santa Ana residents are being asked to reduce water usage by following water conservation practices inside and outside of the home, and for businesses to improve the water use processes. Outdoor watering of lawn, landscape, and other turf areas limited to 2 days a week and only between the hours of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. We're not telling the residents, community, and businesses which days they have to water and which days they're not supposed to. We're going to leave it up to them right now. Plant containers, trees, shrubs, and vegetable gardens may be watered additional days using hand watering or drip irrigation. While filling or refilling ornamental lakes and ponds is prohibited, the lakes of Santa Ana Centennial and important parks are exempt since full sustained aquatic life. So when the new regulation, the new prohibition If there's no sustainable aquatic life, you're required to stop filling it or empty it. But that's not the case with these two parks. All other lakes and ponds within the city that do not sustain aquatic life must comply with the restrictions. Level 2 will not impact the city's decorated fountains with recirculating water systems. So communicating our drought response to the public and the importance of their continued conservation efforts is vital. Our messaging document, we created a question and answer that's available to the public as well as our staff to be knowledgeable and has questions on answers and for the drought, what takes place in the level 2 water contingency plan and our permanent water conservation requirements. Future initiatives. We stay apprised of future developments and changes to state mandates and restrictions. We plan on implementing a small-scale water efficient project funded by several grants. It's titled the Landscape Transformation Program, and it's to help our underserved communities. We're also going to apply for new grants to fund the development of a nursery grounds at the Santiago Park. These grounds will be used for community outreach and education on water-wise landscaping. And we're going to continue to step up our community outreach efforts, aggressive campaigning, water bill inserts. We have a new water bill insert on our rebate program that went out this week. We also did a postcard notifying all addresses in Santa Ana of the stage 2 requirements. We plan on using the bus shelter ads, the digital screens at Main Place Mall and Santa Ana Stadium, and refresh our restaurants and hotel program. And with that, I'll hand it over to Arturo for the tree portion.
Thank you, Robert. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. My name is Arturo Rodriguez. I'm going to give you a quick, brief update on how these restrictions apply to our city trees in the meetings. And then also just a brief update on our right-of-way tree inventory. So next page, please. So it's very important to highlight that the current restrictions that are in place now and how they compare to the restrictions that were imposed back in 2015. So, past, then and now. So, for those of you that were part of ETAC back in 2015, you may recall, the restrictions that were imposed by the state back then were very aggressive. Basically, across the board, turn off all water, no exceptions, including the water meeting trees. The city had to resort to other alternative methods. So then following in 2016, the city staff lobbied council for permission to reinstate the watering, but localize watering in order to preserve the life of the trees. So again, that was back then. This is a different, as Robert pointed out, the city is taking great steps to make, we are good here. These restrictions are less restrictive. These current conditions allow us to continue to water our median trees. The majority of our medians contain drought tolerant landscaping and are non-turf, non-ornamental. So again, it allows us to continue with the watering. As Robert mentioned as well, we will continue with our outreach marketing efforts, update our current materials, our quick do's and don'ts of watering newly planted trees. If you may recall, we are just wrapping up actually a tree planting initiative that's been going on for the past 2 years, and I'll speak on it a little bit more on the next slide, please. So just really brief highlights from this past fiscal year. We've completed our 23rd consecutive Tree City USA designation from the Arbor Day Foundation, which is, again, one of our gold star achievements every year. One of the few local communities that's able to make that statement, especially for such a number of years, over 20 years. We are wrapping up the City Forest Renewal project. That, in a nutshell, was the city received funding for the removal up to 150 trees with the city's commitment to plant at a 2-to-1 ratio. Also, as part of that project, the city was able to compose for the first time an urban forest management plan, which is a document that was taken to council, and basically it summarizes all of our tree policies and best practices from the city, from the tree services industry. Other highlights for this upcoming fiscal year 22-23, we are looking at some increased service levels. How is that possible? Through the budget process, we were able to add an additional tree trimming position that will handle those in-house specialized service requests, something that's out of the normal tree trimming cycle. We were also able to secure an additional $100,000 for our contractual services through West Coast Arborists. And then just to highlight that, we habitually every year we ask for a lot more money. We ask typically at least for $1 million. However, that was not approved, but I mean, we'll take what we can get. In terms of just a few quick highlights regarding our overall right-of-way street trees inventory, approximately 47,000 trees, comprising of over 200 total tree species throughout the city. 23 of those are actually our city now designated tree species. What that means basically any tree that the city plants from now on can only be of those 23 species. Overall, the entire tree inventory makes up an evaluation of about 170. And overall, reducing maintenance of trees. Just a quick snapshot. The photo on the left is basically every single tree in our inventory. As you can see, we have trees everywhere. I mean, and then the graphic on the right gives you the top 10 species within the city. Anyone care to guess what the number 1 species is? It's the London plain sycamore. So approximately just under 6,400 trees, followed by the Grizzly box, queen palms, and then our city tree, the jacaranda, comes in at number 4. And that's right. That's it.
So which one is your favorite tree?
They're all my favorites. They're all beautiful.
Like kid.
You can't complain about that.
This is Commissioner Manager, I know some of them don't like the jacaranda, they're the ones that will put the flowers in spring.
Yes, so yeah, the jacaranda is the city official tree, and they just finished blooming.
Just curiosity, have you notified like condo complexes about the watering restrictions? I have one in mind, that's why I'm asking the question.
We've notified all addresses in the city of Santa Ana by postcard. Also water bill inserts. We've updated the city's website We continue to do campaigns out there. We don't specifically send letters to each HOA or apartment complexes or multifamily residences.
Because this HOA in particular, water comes through the, you pay for the water through your monthly fees on it. And there's a management team managing it. And my daughter lives there, and nothing has come down to her asking to restrict the water, and the water in the grounds are crazy, absolutely crazy. But in that case, would the management company be notified until they're not in Santa Ana?
Yeah, and what the typical procedure is a concerned resident within that multifamily residence would notify the city through multiple ways. There's a conserved water email, there's a conservation hotline, there's My Santa Ana app. So there's multiple ways of reaching out to the Water Resources Division with inquiries or concerns. My neighbor is overwatering, taking pictures of the water running down the street, broken sprinklers, whatever it is, right? So it comes to my department. We have one of our inspectors document and then do an inspection, notify if it's the HOA management company, they're going to get a letter. Hey, we had a concerned citizen. We're not going to give names out, but we have a concerned citizen that showed pictures and state the problem. So please be aware of the following restrictions and prohibitions. We're here to educate, not to punish. But if it does go to that case, that far, then we will have to, take further action.
Commissioner Venander again, there's some misnomers that because we recycle water, we're not in a drought condition. Can you address that?
We have about the recycled water program, the water that's provided by Orange County Water District. They're the ones who provide the recycled water throughout the city of Santa Ana. We only have 27 accounts, and those are all located in the southwest part of town. So it's mainly parks, medians, Chick-fil-A, and I think a West Shore complex. That's it. So Santa Ana does not have a whole lot of recycled water. So whoever would be saying that would be wrong. See, South Orange County, there's a lot of recycled water there for sure. North Orange County, there's not a whole lot.
I think they get confused with the groundwater regenerational plant, and I guess for up to 60% of the water that comes down the sewer is recycled. I don't even want to address that.
Yeah, that's Orange County Water District. They have the groundwater replenishment program. So they have, they treat the water to pretty much pure water molecule. They have to add constituents into it to bring it up to where it's not corrosive. Inject it into the ground. Eventually, it'll make its way to pumping levels, so we'll pump it up, and it's produced high quality water, right? And that's in part of the potable water system. But that's no excuse to think that we have an endless supply of water. Yes, Orange County Water District, along with MWD, has done years of preparing for droughts, conditions like this. They have multifaceted programs that they do to make sure we have water for now and in the future. But we definitely can't think of that attitude of like, hey, we have tons of water, let's use it. Even though we're not in a water supply shortage in Santa Ana, it's not an emergency, we still teach our community, hey, you have to use water wisely, use it efficiently. So that's kind of our message.
Excuse me, Commissioner McLaughlin has her hand up.
Carl, you have any, you're still continuing?
Thank you. Could you explain the Tree USA requirements to our new ETAC members? Many of us know the requirements. We say it's very important and honorable.
I'm sorry, Sean, I don't know if Commissioner Venander has finished on this.
Yes, Commissioner Venander, I have finished. Go ahead, John.
Yes, the Tree City USA is an annual certification that we apply for every year. We apply applications that are typically due in December, but the requirements are each city has to have a tree fort, ETAC. There's a certain per capita requirement that needs to be spent on trees based on the city's population. You need to have a tree removal policy, which we do. And the budget. So we meet those very, very easily every year. but it's just an annual submission process that's done.
It was my understanding that could you explain the spending per tree that's required to be Tree USA?
Yes, basically, based on the population size and how much of our budget, we easily clear that. I forget the dollar value, right? Super capita.
Pardon me, speak again.
$2 per cap, $2 per person.
Okay, so it's not that we have 47,000 trees and we have to spend so much per tree in our contract with outside services like West Coast or that. And because we meet that threshold of spending per tree, that is not per population, but per tree. Am I correct? And then the second thing is that we have to have a Tree City arborist day and a planting of a tree. So I thought I read that those are the two requirements.
Not quite. The requirement is based on the city's population and your overall budget is how much are you spending on a per capita basis. So it's $2 per resident. We easily clear that. And then also you are correct, we have to hold or participate in an Arbor Day celebration event.
I do have a second question, is that since we are allowed this year to water the median trees during this drought, we have no ability to have just a tree watered. So are you going to come in there and adjust the sprinkler head so that it allows one sprinkler head to be covered by a tree? Because we went through this in 215 and 216, that there was no way that the city manager or public works were watering the median trees, but for a little truck going along watering the topsoil. So what is the plan since we're allowed to water a median tree?
Again, right now, there are no planned changes to our current watering schedule. If, again, based on the direction from the state, if further restrictions are imposed, any modifications of the irrigation system will be considered at that time.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Brian, do you want to make the announcement? You're leaving today.
Yeah, this is Vice Chair Benninger. Commissioner Jermaine needs to, Chairman Jermaine needs to lead right now, so I'll take over the meeting. Any other questions of our presenters?
Commissioner,
Commissioner Walker, I was curious, of our trees, have you seen the death of a lot of trees due to invasive species or other diseases?
Not currently right now. There is no outbreak, if you will. We have been made aware of the Gold Spot Weed Board that it is, again, it's not a San Andreas, it's a Southern California thing. We are aware that it is nearby, but we have not experienced any outbreaks, if you will.
Thank you.
Commissioner Greensides, I want to say thanks for, mailer, and I think all of my neighbors did as well, so I was happy to see that, and I'm happy to learn that there's, landscaping classes for water-friendly landscaping. That's really exciting, and I'm happy to hear that they'll be in person again as soon as possible. And besides all the advertising that's happening, with the mailers, and inserts for the bills, and you're talking about doing the not bulletin boards, but the screens. Yes, the boards in the communities. Is there any thought to social media ads? Because, for example, if somebody didn't receive the mailer, they're definitely going to be on social media, I imagine.
Yeah, we did do a social media campaign So I think it's every week we're doing posts on Instagram and Facebook for relating to the drought in different areas of the drought. So yes, we are.
Awesome, thank you for that. And then, so less green grass for landscaping means less gas-powered landscaping pollution going into our air in our neighborhoods. Is there any, so what I would like to propose is that maybe with other cities putting together some sort of initiative or public information campaign about promotion of less non-native grasses, and that brown grass is actually natural and beautiful in this region in our city. Just wanted to offer that as a way to work with the surrounding cities to get everybody on the same page. And I really appreciated the tree map of the city of Santa Ana. That was really impactful to see. Wow, we have a lot. And what I noticed is that there's a high density of trees in detached single-family home neighborhoods, and less so on the west side of the town and in the southeast corridor, which I know in the southeast corridor there's a lot of industrial warehousing areas, so it makes sense that there's less trees there. But I know that with the capital improvement plan, and the roadway improvement plans is to fix the roads, make that area less, terrible road quality, but I think also there needs to be a discussion about in that area, I imagine, as many parts of Santa Ana, there's lead contamination in the soil. And if we are to have more trees in areas that are less tree dense at the moment, considering how whatever contaminants might be in the soil might play a factor, and why certain areas might not, at least in the short term, be able to have trees, but especially in areas where there's higher density neighborhoods, especially like as you get closer to Garden Grove, Westminster areas, those are really high density housing areas and lower income areas, and that map was really telling to me to see who actually has green space in their neighborhoods and who does not, or has less anyway. So I really appreciate that map, thank you.
This is Commissioner Benny again. There is one tree species on here I have a concern with, and that's the Oriental pear tree. I have these in my neighborhood, which is Metroplastic area, and we had one fall down on a very calm day, and we got the city out, and thank goodness to the horticulture person who came and looked at them, and he ordered 6 of the trees to be removed. And he talked about dismembering, and maybe it's wrong terminology, but basically branches not being supported properly, that they would fall. Which I think would put the city in liability, because we do maintain those sort of trees. So I'm just kind of curious, where does this tree sit as far as, is it being phased out, or is it still one of our preferred trees?
Commissioner, that is no longer an approved species. So, what's in the ground, eventually when they meet their lifespan, they will be removed. But we are no longer planting that tree.
And that tree gets inspected for disorient or dismemberment.
They are on a 2-year trim cycle. So at least at the minimum, every 2 years for their routine maintenance. And again, anytime citizens have any concerns, that's when they can reach to internal staff. Again, we have 2 certified arborists on staff, always willing and able to go out and inspect the tree before that 2-year trim cycle. So.
Very good, appreciate that. Dwayne, do you have any question, Commissioner?
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay. Not seeing any other questions, we'll move on. We'll do staff comment. Bill, any comment?
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Benninger. I don't have any comments. However, I would like to let you know that staff is working really hard on arranging for you to visit 2 locations. For your information, is the West Coast Arborists have a tour that they welcome city personnel, commissioners like you, to come and tour their facilities. And so we're working really hard on arranging for you guys to come and join us, the staff, to tour their facilities and get a little bit more understanding about what they do. West Coast Arborists have been our tree maintenance contractor for a period of time, and they welcome you. Anyway, looking forward for letting you know about when those tours will be held, and encourage that you make some time to come by and enjoy the tour. I have never had a tour, so it will be new to me, so it will be great if you can join us. At the same time, we are trying to arrange for a groundwater replenishment system, GWRS, tour of the Orange County Water District replenishment facilities. They do have tours and educational classes about what they do in terms of water recycling. You know, you guys are interested in water recycling, and you will learn a lot more about what they do. It is a plant that is a worldwide award-winning recycling plant that I would like for you to learn more about, and it's something that is, as a city, our elected sit on that board, and many years ago they made the decision that we want to recycle a lot of the water that goes to the ocean, and one of the accomplishments is Orange County Sanitation District have two sewage treatment plants. One of them right now at full capacity is being recycled. All of what goes through that one plant in Fountain Valley is 100% recycled right now, and they're looking at grabbing more of that water from the Huntington Beach plant to be even more, to add more to that water to be recycled. So I encourage you to make the time when we arrange for those times for you to visit. I'd like to let you know that the ceremonial street naming ordinance will be heard, and one more time, at the City Council coming up on Tuesday next week, 7/19. So if you have good stuff to say about that ceremonial ordinance, the street naming ordinance, come and appreciate your comments on that. We also are, the same council meeting, we are having the youth water conservation poster contest. Like this is the 7th year that we've had this contest. We reach out to the Santa Ana Unified School District, and we encourage their students to participate in a drawing. And we have awards. We have not only certificates that go to winning competitions, but we also have an award ceremony in this school after the award. So I encourage for all of you to join these young artists to celebrate their winnings. And lastly, I just want to let you know that for this year's block beautification contest or transformation contest, we did not have any entries this year. I'm hoping that next year we'll do better. And that concludes my comments.
Commissioner Welker, any comments?
Hi, yes. From a couple meetings ago, I know we discussed trying to find a contact for the Santa Ana initiative. I was able to find out that they are led by a pastor. His name is Pastor Marcos, M-A-R-C-O-S, Roman, and his email is Marcos, M-A-R-C-O-S, at tcsocal.com, and he's the pastor at Templo Calvario Church.
Thank you.
Commissioner Reesides?
Yes. In browsing the Nextdoor app one evening not too long ago, there was a lot of posts from folks in North Santa Ana who were talking about coyotes wandering into their yards. And it's a pretty special sight to see, but it's also very scary for your animals and yourself, especially at night. And we do live in a region that was once inhabited. As common as we see some animals in our neighborhoods like raccoons or possums, the California grizzly bear, which is on our flag, used to exist just as common as we see those animals today. And 100 years ago, there's actually a placard in the community of Silverado Canyon where a group of folks organized to kill what was the last known California grizzly bear in Orange County at the time because it was interfering with the beekeeping and honey selling business of the folks who came to California. from various parts of what was, a smaller country back then. And so, in seeing all these different animals and respecting the nature, I just want to offer that, one, we live in an incredible place, and two, with it comes an incredible responsibility. And so I'm glad to see that some of the folks who are posting on the Nextdoor app are offering various ways in which we can respect and make sure that there are healthy boundaries with the wildlife around us, and that we can all live together and hopefully not render any more species extinct like we once did with the California grizzly. And last point I'll make again is, one way to save water is to take less showers. And so, like I said last time, I promise I don't smell. It won't be the end of the world if you can't shower every day. But everybody should do their part as much as they can to try and reduce water, because water is precious, water is life. Thank you.
Commissioner McLaughlin? Janelle, do you have anything to add?
Commissioner
McLaughlin, do you have anything to add?
I sure do. I love this meeting. We've come so far, and I'd like to thank the Public Works staff and the director of how good the tree presentation was, how knowledgeable, how much it's moved forward over since 2015. I've been a squeaky wheel, and you just put all the oil on the squeaky wheel today. So I thank you so very much. You just don't even know how thrilled I am. Second, I will disregard the shower every other day or every third day recommendation. I suggest turning the water off when you're brushing your teeth, though. I'll go for that one. And congratulations to Carl and Brian. They've done a great job the last 6 months, and I know they're going to do a good job moving forward. So, and the question I've always asked Arturo of anybody presenting for the last 5 years, what is the recommendation and how does Tree City work? And you did a super job on that. So if there was a prize, I'd give you a prize. You've made me very happy. Thank you, and for all your hard work. That's it.
Commissioner Rohrabacher?
I second the applauding of the tree presentation. I'm glad to hear that we're putting in the resources and efforts to be a tree city. It's inspiring, especially when you go down neighborhoods like my neighborhood and see, lines of trees on the roads. And I appreciate the transparency in the budget conversation as well.
Very good. Thank you. This is Commissioner Benninger again. A couple of things. One suggestion I have is, and I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm trying in my area. Leslie Pool gives you an item to put on your pool capital a week. And I put there mainly because ducks, keep ducks out of my pool. But also, a side benefit of it is supposed to reduce the evaporation. I'm only a couple months into it, so I really can't tell you how it works or how well it works. But I suggest maybe contact Leslie Pools and see what their data is based on, because that's one of their claims that will reduce evaporation from it, and that could be another source of light. I do want to thank Public Works for all that you have going on right now. A lot of times we should just take it for granted, but there's a lot of things going on in the city with road work and construction, and there must be something going on with lift stations, because I've noticed we have one in my neighborhood and 2 others in the city, and the city Honey Beach, when I was driving through on July 4th, have 3 lift stations being worked on. So there must be something going on with lift stations inside the cities on it. But with that, I do want to thank everyone for the presentations. It sounded very informative, and thank you. And with that, I'm going to close this meeting on July 12th until we meet again in August. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I don't know. I heard the words.